What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so basically we are going to continue our coverage over Final Crisis. Now, of course, we actually do pick up with another tie-in because when it came to Final Crisis, you had a lot of tie-ins that took place between each of the main chapters of Final Crisis. Now, with that being said, we actually do pick up with Final Crisis Secret Files. Now, this is actually very important. And the reason why, because usually when it comes to DC Comics and you see Secret Files, it is basically a way to kind of tell a retcon story or an origin story over a particular character or a team in DC Comics. Now, when it comes to Final Crisis Secret Files, it basically tells us the hidden information we need to understand why Libra is doing all of this in Final Crisis, but to also find out that basically Libra has a connection to Darkseid, which of course does make sense because in Final Crisis, we have been seeing Darkseid basically make moves here and there throughout the entire event. And so, of course, we knew there had to be some kind of connection between Darkseid and also Libra. The problem was, though, we had no idea what that connection was. And so, of course, with Final Crisis Secret Files, it gives us that information we need to kind of understand what is a connection between Darkseid and Libra. Now, when it comes to Final Crisis Secret Files, it does kind of give us the origin of Libra and still trying to give us the information we need to understand what is the connection between Darkseid and also Libra. But it starts off with his origin story. Now, of course, when it comes to Libra, he's that character in DC Comics who wants to make sure the world is perfectly balanced, but especially when it comes to good and evil. Now, after he kind of reminds us about that, basically, you then have him explain his origin story, where he does tell us that at a young age, he had to watch his mom die. And the reason why his mom died, because basically she has some rare disease. But of course, when it came to his mom's medicine, it was given to her incorrectly. And what I mean is that basically the pharmacist who was supposed to get the medicine ready for her, he took his time getting the medicine ready, but he was also drinking on the job. And so with him drinking on the job, he basically gave the wrong medicine to Libra's mother. And so, of course, when she took that medicine, it didn't help. It made things worse, and she died. Now, of course, when she did die, of course, he was now left behind with his father. But with the death of Libra's mother, of course, it turned Libra's father into a drunk, a very abusive drunk. And of course, he was always abusing Libra. Now, of course, one of the times that he was going to attack Libra, being that abusive father, he missed and fell off the building and died. And so, of course, Libra no longer had any parents at all. But after the death of his parents, and of course some time passed by, you do have Libra go to college. Now when he does go to college, of course he does meet a professor, and that professor is Ted Knight. Now that name should be very important, and the reason why, because Ted Knight was the first Starman. Back in 1940 comics, you had a Starman, and he first appeared in Adventure Comics number 61. I could be wrong on the year though, but I want to say it was 1941. But either way though, Ted Knight was Starman back in the 1940s. And matter of fact, he was part of the Justice Society alongside with other characters. Of course, the superhero team that came before the Justice League. Now, with that being said though, Ted Knight taught the college that Libra went to, and Libra fell in love with the words that Ted Knight was saying about space and stars and planets. And so, of course, you had Libra take every single class that Ted Knight basically taught. But of course, after taking every single class that Ted Knight taught, of course, Ted Knight could no longer teach Libra anything else. And so you had Libra basically break into Ted Knight's office to find some kind of blueprint. Now this blueprint that basically Libra steals is going to be very important for this storyline. But after stealing those plans, you then have Libra basically take that blueprint plans to make a telescope. Now, this telescope is not actually a telescope. It's actually called an energy transmogrifier. And basically what Libra was going to do was he was going to absorb half the energy of the universe into himself to see what could possibly happen. And so, of course, that was his master plan after he was able to get the blueprints from Ted Knight. Now, of course, after he was able to make that device that he kind of stole from the blueprints of Ted Knight, you then have Libra decide that he was going to be a bad guy. But then he was wondering what should he do as a bad guy. But that is the moment he was confronted by a mysterious character. Now, this mysterious character, we have no idea who this character actually is. But we do know that this character is working for somebody else, because he does tell Libra, hey, my boss and I, we have been watching you, and we feel like basically you could actually help us out, but we must help you out first so that you can then help us out down the road. And what he means by that is him and his boss giving Libra some very important items that could basically help Libra, and then down the road, Libra can help them. And so, of course, you then have this guy say, do you agree to let my boss actually help you? And matter of fact, I can show you a small sample of his powers, because he is a very strong, powerful being. And so a small sample of his powers can do a lot of great things for you. And you have Libra basically agree to kind of work with this mysterious character and this mysterious boss, who he has no idea who this boss or this character actually is. But right after you had Libra basically take up that offer, you then have our mysterious character teleport Libra to this satellite base. Now, of course, this satellite base is going to be used by Libra. But of course, it is our mysterious character telling Libra, hey, listen, if you do use this base right here, it can be used for all your master plans. And of course, this actually leads into a storyline that happened in the past, where basically Libra formed the Injustice Gang. Of course, this super villain group that had attacked the Justice League. But in that storyline, you also had Libra going around and draining half the powers of every single member of the Justice League. So half of Superman, half of the Flash, half of Batman, half of Green Lantern. Like, he took half and half and half from every single member of the Justice League. Now, of course, right after that, he was then able to capture every single one of them, because he wanted to see what his actual master plan was. And you have to remember, because when it comes to Libra, his original plan was to drain half the energy from the universe. But now his goal is to drain the energy from the Milky Way galaxy, of course, the galaxy that Earth belongs to. But this is Libra saying, I'm going to show the Justice League what I can actually do with this energy once I actually do absorb this energy. And so, of course, he does absorb the energy. But when he does that, of course, it does lead into some problems. And of course, the problem is that because he took the energy from the galaxy, his mind was not able to actually process all of that energy. And so he's having a million thoughts happening all at once when he began to think, what should I do first as a bad guy? On top of that, his body begins to disappear. And the reason why, because his body and the energy of the galaxy is becoming one. It's becoming united as one force. And so, of course, he's becoming one with the galaxy. And so his body just falls apart and disappears. But then we see some more time has passed by, where basically we do see that Libra's mind just kept wandering, and his body did too. But his body did arrive on Apocalypse. And of course, that is the home of Darkseid and Darkseid's people. And this is actually very huge, because usually the only way to get to Apocalypse or New Genesis is that basically you had to have a boom tube. But this is Libra being able to arrive on Apocalypse without a boom tube. And this is huge. Now, of course, he is confronted by Metron. And Metron's kind of like, hey, man, listen, I have no idea how in the world you got here, but usually you kind of need a boom tube to actually get here. But then you have him be confronted by another character known as Darkseid. Now, Darkseid is kind of like this weird god, not god, but weird person on Darkseid who basically tortures people left and right. And of course, he's kind of like, hey, listen, I'm going to start torturing you right now because you're on Apocalypse, which is not your territory, and you're basically trespassing, and I want to torture you. Now, you do basically have Darkseid tell Libra that they have been waiting for him for a very long time. But of course, now he's here, they can now begin the process of torturing. Now, in the middle of the torturing, that is the moment you do have Libra meet the boss of Darkseid and actually the ruler of Apocalypse, which is Darkseid. Now, this is huge because Darkseid is the one who's kind of like, I have been waiting for you. I've been waiting for this moment. And I feel like it's about time for me to finally use you as a moving block into my idea of completing my master goal. And this is the moment where you basically have Darkseid actually recruit Libra. Now, of course, we actually do learn who was that mysterious character from earlier we saw when, of course, who gave Libra that satellite spaceship. And of course, it was Glorious Godfrey. Now, Glorious Godfrey, of course, works for Darkseid as well. And Glorious Godfrey was the one who basically gave Libra all the different kind of equipment he needed to basically be able to form the Injustice gang. But the reason why Godfrey did that, because Darkseid told him to. Because Darkseid felt like Libra could be the key to basically help him get the one thing that Darkseid has always wanted, which is the anti-life equation. And so, of course, you have Darkseid ask Libra, are you down to actually serve me? Are you down to actually help me? And you have Libra like, listen, you helped me in the past. You have shown me so many things in the past and gave me so much. I want to basically help you. And so you have Libra say yes. And so you then have Darkseid kind of tell Libra everything he needs to do to technically help him get ready for Darkseid to get the anti-life equation. And so that kind of explains all the different moves that we saw from Libra in Final Crisis 1, 2, 3, Rogue's Revenge, all the things we covered so far in Final Crisis. It makes sense why it's happening because it was Darkseid telling Libra what you need to do, and hopefully you'll be able to actually accomplish those different things. And so, of course, you do have Libra go down to Earth. He does everything we saw in the earlier chapters of Final Crisis, including the idea of introducing the anti-life equation. But basically, it's Libra saying, I did everything my master asked me to do. I did everything I was told to do. And now my boss, Darkseid, will finally get what he wants. Now, remember, when it comes to Libra, usually the world has to be perfectly balanced. That was his goal. But when it comes to Darkseid, nothing is no longer perfectly balanced because nothing can balance against Darkseid at all. Darkseid must rule. And this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.